morning, here we are again.
Hi!
Episode 2.
Episode 2, Raw and Real.
Yeah, coming from Florida, and it's actually, I think, 67 degrees.
I don't know, it was 57 when I got up at 4 a.m. and went to boot camp, and I had 2 hoodies on. 2 hoodies.
To me, that makes me happy. I'm ecstatic when it's anything below 60.
Below 60 is, well, below 70 here in Florida is boot weather. So 2 original northerners living in Florida, I definitely am used to the Florida heat. I don't know about you yet. I've been here since 2005, so.
No, not in the slightest. I'm happy to see my sweaters.
You have a lot of nice sweaters, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, they all came out, so that's really cool. So what's the topic of the conversation today, do you think?
Well, first, I just want to remind everybody who you are and who we have the pleasure to speak with today in the finance and real estate world.
Oh gosh, here we go. It's Danijella Dragas from the Lending Corporation, and CEO of the company and in the business for 39 years, international financing. So still here.
International financier. She's brilliant. She just won't say it, but I'm in real estate and she works all my real estate deals. And believe me, makes magic happen every single day. So if you're out there and you do not think that you are able to purchase a home, you should give us a call, because the miracles that we are actually making happen for consumers, and I have so many examples, and we're actually working on a few right now. You wouldn't believe the circumstances that you can actually get through to make a purchase. So
it's a full-time reality show.
She is very humble, splits her time between New York and beautiful Tampa, Florida, always making things happen for people, not just locally, but nationally and internationally. So
we have to have a good partnership. I mean, we've got the finance side, but then you're out there finding the clients that want to refinance or want to buy, which is, it's always really exciting to see what the real estate agents dig up. And what Michelle found for one of her recent clients was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was just like, you have to jump on this property. It was amazing. It was really cool. How did you find it, by the way?
Actually just looking online, looking on MLS, and just happened to come across. But you know what about that property? You just don't know a property until you go in person. That specific property in Wesley Chapel looked a lot better in person than it actually did on the pictures. You know, a lot of times people think the pictures are going to be nicer than the property in person. This was actually the opposite. When we walked in, we were like, okay, this is a lot nicer than it was in the pictures. It's very, very special property, and everything's new roof, new septic system, new AC, new water heater, new pool pump, pavers on the pool, new. So
is that a challenge to find properties in that good condition? How do you find it post-storm?
Oh, post-storm, there's a lot of damaged properties. So post-storm, it just depends on the area, obviously. Yet to get a home where all the main components are brand new is very rare.
What are you saying to buyers out there? You're asking them to dig in and become more realistic. Do you find the market has changed, where there seems to be, it's not such a seller's market anymore, it's more equaled up to buyers because of maybe more inventory? What do you think out there?
Well, there are a lot more buyers coming out since the election.
Okay.
A lot of people are, coming out of the woodwork buying. Yet
always wonder why people stop when it's
still leaning toward the sellers, if the sellers are priced right, because there aren't a lot of properties on the market. So it's still really hard to find a house.
So you're saying jump on it.
I'm saying if you have a lot of equity in your home and you want to move, now's the time while there aren't a lot of properties on the market.
There's a topic I want to stop on right there. We have this is impromptu, we have a bridge to own program. I've got to talk louder. A bridge to own program. Basically, if you've got a home and you can't sell it, you're stuck selling it, or you're thinking of selling it, but you see a property that you want to buy, we can bridge between the house that you own, pull out the equity, and you don't have to essentially do a refinance. It's almost like we're literally bridging one loan right from the refi into a purchase, and that has helped a lot of people pull out equity for that down payment. So that's good to know.
Does that work with new construction? So if somebody has an offer in on a new construction home and their house is for sale and hasn't sold yet,
Yes.
so they have 100% equity,
Yeah.
they can take out equity. And then
They
how
can.
long do they have? What happens if the house doesn't sell?
You mean the house they're trying to exit?
Right.
Well, the loan is like for a year,
Okay.
2, 3. It's a 30-year loan, but then you have, a year or 2 to sell the house.
Would they be able to rent the house out? Like move out, rent the house out?
Well,
If they could, while it was for sale,
where would they be moving to?
to the new construction.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I see what you're saying. No,
Okay.
No, they can absolutely bridge from the house, so they're exiting and rent it out, and then move into a new construction home as soon as the new construction. Absolutely. And then as soon as the house sells, the sale, the equity will go and pay down the new loan. That makes sense.
Okay, makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I believe I had a
Good,
client
I'm glad I
talk to
hear
you
you
about
now.
that. I have a client that may apply to.
Yeah, as long as the house is in, when you say construction, I mean, obviously if the house is 6 months or 12
No,
months
it'll
from,
be ready in February.
excellent stuff. Send them over.
Okay,
Good.
well,
We worked a scenario out together. This is how we work.
We
We're
just-
brainstorming. So this is real estate. It really is about putting together the two sides of our business and brainstorming on how to make it work for a client, and then presenting it to the client with a solution, which was fun.
absolutely.
What's
And
next?
we talked a little bit about your background, a little bit about my background.
Your
As a
background is much more fascinating.
As a combat veteran and entrepreneur, I've been self-employed since 2005 when I left the military, and different businesses, and obviously currently real estate. Yet I've found in every business there's multiple solutions to one thing, and you come up with them when you sit and you talk
That's why
with
you
your
have,
colleagues.
what do you do? That's why you have boardrooms, and that's why
Yes,
the
we-
President of the United States has a war room. I mean,
Exactly.
because you bring in people that collaborate with you, and that experience and that trust. Absolutely, it's like with everything. There's many chefs in a kitchen. Someone's a sous chef, and someone's is a pastry, and out comes this great dinner. And so yeah, it's no different. It's called collaboration and transparency and openness and ownership when things don't exactly go right. So yeah.
I love it because every day I get calls or have conversations with different people who have these dreams and these goals, and they think that they are so far out of reach. And I'm like,
That's
let's call Danijella. You
That's-
can do this.
That's what makes me really happy, is when when you see clients that, again, when they don't think they can. It's like watching a child grow up, or watching your AI engine learning, right? And with the coaching, because basically that's what we are. We're just coaches, and we coach people into the way they want to go with their lives. If they're buying their first house, that's always the most exciting for me. It's like watching a kid graduate from school, like, okay, and then they're like, okay, now I can, and then they want to go off and get the next one. That gives me a lot of joy.
It gives me a lot of joy. My actual passion in life is coaching. To be able to watch somebody accomplish something that they never thought possible, yet you see it in them, that is my pure joy in life. And I do that with my agents and my clients, and sometimes my friends. So
That they come back
I
and then they
love
start
that.
teaching you.
I love that. I really would love, before we dive into some juicy things, like I want to talk about post-storm and the amount of damage that we had here in Tampa Bay, and you living right downtown and seeing the devastation and the flooding. My house is over near the college, and just to think, and if you don't live around here, you won't know exactly what we're talking about, yet to be able to see people kayaking down Fowler Ave, which is nowhere near any body of water except maybe miles away, the Hillsborough River. It's just flabbergasting to me that the amount of water and the amount of damage we had. Each of the storms, one was more flooding and one was more wind. Yet you drive down the roads now and the resilience is simply magnificent. The businesses open, things cleaned up. Besides the trees and everything on the side of the road, it's like in a lot of places we never had a storm.
Well, the state did a really good job.
Yes.
They came in, kudos to our governor and everybody that came in from all different states to help. Was phenomenal. St. Pete, I was just there yesterday and still seeing trees, chopped up and on the side of people's properties, on the footpaths. So that definitely I feel is worse than Tampa. I haven't been to
The
Sarasota.
beaches were really destroyed from all up the coastline, not just Tampa Bay, from southern Florida all the way up to, northern Florida. The beach towns were decimated.
That's hard to come back.
That's
so
a
quickly.
whole, I have a place in Weeki Wachee and Hernando Beach and Weeki Wachee River and Hudson and Newport Richie at the beach. I mean, it was just destroyed.
Well,
every restaurant, every house that was one story was flooded. Yet, I just went out to eat in Hernando Beach. Within 2 weeks, people are opening back up. It's incredible.
We've actually lived such interesting times. We've had COVID, and now you've got, storms everywhere, and it's not just, here, it's also in the Philippines. They've had multiple storms hit like we have, and maybe it's just more active this season. But going back to the topic of the real estate side, okay, so some of these properties are a little older here, and like any brush fire, I'm going to call it that, there's atrocities that happen, but out of that becomes improvement and maybe some new materials and new legislation on how we need to build. And I know that permitting here is going to be hard for people because there's a mass of it, and so we're going to have to get through that. Maybe some staffing up at the administration offices. But as far as finance, we're kind of keyed up for that for new construction and the fix and flip loans that we have. But don't always look at it from a negative standpoint. Nature's going to be nature, and we have to kind of adapt to it. And like I said, maybe some of these homes just needed that little bit of a storm.
Little bit of TLC.
And now they can be built to code and to standards. So yeah, let's look at it from a positive standpoint. Lots of opportunity.
That's my point, is the resilience and the fact that Floridians, that's the pleasure of living in Florida, everything we get living in paradise. I'm certainly not afraid of storms or anything like that. It's just a way of life here. We haven't been hit like this in Tampa for 125 years. So
we're much smarter now, and I think that everybody heeded the warnings to get out of town if they needed to do. So we were taking it really seriously, which obviously helped everybody, on the emergency front and all the first responders. And then insurance companies, they've had a hell of a time as well here, but I see it's not as difficult to get as insurance as people think. I'm in it every day. I'm not seeing pushbacks at all, which is great on the insurance carriers and all the underwriters and actuaries, so kudos to them for getting us going. And yeah, real estate keeps moving, just keep pushing ahead.
Oh, definitely. Real estate definitely keeps moving. I submitted a few offers yesterday, and there are a lot of properties being sold as is with the damage, and there are an equal amount of people wanting to pick up investment properties. So people are always buying and selling. I really wanted to talk to consumers. Hurricane, what is it called? Hurricane exhaustion, or the emotions of a hurricane. Yes. They're real. Several people in this Keller Williams office alone lost everything, and people are exhausted. Yet we have a lot of tips for people. First of all, if you ever have damage or anything having to do with an insurance claim, the first thing you want to do is hire a public adjuster to go in and get everything that you need to get done with your insurance company, because if you go at it alone with your insurance company, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Your public adjuster is there to help you fight and get everything you need
So
to
that's
fix your
the
home.
first thing that you should do once you've got yourself together.
Right. Get a public adjuster and have that partner with you to go through the process. And then be educated about the loan programs. I learned about a new loan program through you, which I had not known about before, that if you are an owner of a home or a renter of a home that was completely devastated, there's a special loan program for 1 year after you can get a loan for no money down, or what's that loan about?
You're just putting 5% down. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so you can get a loan to relocate yourself. And that's great for renters who are possibly first-time home buyers.
Well, it is. You know, there's the affordability. What I'm shocked about is people having to rent, and then they've still got the mortgage, and then they can't live at the house. And I've seen so many cases where people are absolutely at their wits' end because now they've just doubled their expenditure, which has been tough. So these programs have come out to kind of assist with more forgiving debt to income ratio. I think that's what we're trying to get at, because you're adding rental, mortgage, and construction of a new house or purchase of a new home. So yeah, it's a little bit more forgiving, but that's just for now. So yeah, always trying to be more innovative and get people moving and get more real estate sold.
Well, I know that feeling. I had a situation where I had to move out of my home and live somewhere else and still pay all the bills for almost 2 years to do repairs. So, and the insurance company doesn't reimburse you for that. For your extra expenses.
Doesn't surprise me.
We will not
everything.
go down that road
Can't
because
do
that
everything.
is a rabbit hole I could talk about forever,
Oh.
but we'll wait.
Experience.
I would like to speak to Congress about this.
But I really want to know is one thing, Michelle. You've been doing something which you've made public. Yes, many things, but this one is exciting. Okay, so 75 hard.
Oh, 75 hard. Maybe we
Tell me
should
about You're
do
the
a
second
little
person.
conclusion on this one and start a whole new podcast on that situation.
Go ahead. Okay, so
Okay.
you're as busy as can be, and you decided to do this. Why?
Okay, so 75 Hard is a national program written by Andy Friselli, and it consists of doing 2 workouts a day, and 245 workouts a day. They have to be at least 3 hours apart, and
Okay.
one has to be outdoors.
That's cool. It gets you a bit of sunshine there. Vitamin D.
Sometimes, unless there's a hurricane going on, which there was twice. And then you read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day.
Excellent. That starts your reading again.
You drink a gallon of water. You eat healthy, eat clean, no processed food, and nothing bad for your
So
body.
what does that regime do to you?
And you also drink no alcohol. So that's the program. And what does it do? This could be written in an entire book. So I'll tell you why I did it first. Number one, I live completely through faith, and I start my days off with prayer. I do live a God-driven life. And I wasn't hearing messages for quite some time. I was doing the activities, but I was not clear. So I've been in places in my life where the messages just pour through me. And for some reason, I was feeling blocked. So I was talking to my sister who's in nursing school, graduating soon. So proud of her.
Excellent.
And I was looking for a cleanse, something to cleanse my body. I'm not a big faster or cleanser. I don't want to go days without eating to cleanse my body.
Right.
And she really didn't know, and she was just like, I don't know. Try this, try that, everything's different. So I was taking my 16-year-old niece to lunch, and she said, you should do 75 hard. And I was like,
has she done it?
what? No.
Oh, good. She
Like,
makes
I
you
could
do
never
it.
do that. She was like, it's so hard, I could never do it. But I said, what is that? I looked it up, I listened to his podcast, I was like, okay, I can do this. Yet, I did it because I wanted to commit to something for myself. I wanted to clear my body, and I'm the type of person who knows that discipline is a perishable skill, and I wanted to challenge myself. So as much as you want to think this is physical, it's more mental and it's more discipline. So one of the tasks that I didn't mention is you take a personal picture of yourself every day, a progress picture.
Also, that should almost like your dream board and then your journey,
right,
as you look back where you
started.
Right,
but it's a task. So every day you wake up, you do a workout, you do an outdoor workout, you drink a gallon of water, you eat clean, you don't drink alcohol, you take a selfie. Did I miss anything?
That's a lot of discipline.
So it's, when you look at the tasks, you think, oh, that's easy. Anybody can do that. But you don't realize we all have lives. During that time, we had 2 hurricanes. I hired another agent on my team. You and I partnered up to do some things. My mom, I had to call the ambulance on my mom twice, in which she was in the hospital a week each time. Yeah. I add another hour and a half to take care of my mom. You know, travel. I'm the director of operations for Miss Florida USA. So your day is already packed. So for example, I'm finished with 75 Hard as of the other day, yet it's a part of my life. To come here and meet you this morning, I got up at 4 to be able to get a workout in. I've already had a half a gallon of water by 7:30 a.m.
That to me is commendable. The
hardest thing. So the concept is, when you are able to overcome the hard, life becomes easy. And what I have found doing this program is a lot of people try something and they don't commit. Everybody that started in my personal group didn't even make it 10 days.
See, that's commendable. First of all, as an entrepreneur, and you're taking care of, elderly family and running a business, everything else. But it's commendable that when you are going through something hard and you had the fortitude to actually see, look, I've got a mental blockage, and as an entrepreneur, you don't have a check and balance. As a CEO of a company or a C-suite executive, you don't really have many people to bounce ideas from. Or just see that you can't get the clarity, and you found it yourself. So I'm hoping that maybe that'll be inspirational to the viewers, that if you're going through something, reach out, number one, to us. We're happy to chat, or get into a program like this that changes your mindset, and that little mindset shift and keeping yourself accountable and completing it. You can actually pat yourself on the back and you feel like you've achieved something, and from that little block of achievement, other things start to grow.
Well, yes. I stood up and they asked me to share a little bit in Keller Williams at Bold graduation the other day, and what I said was exactly that. If you're a rainmaker or you're a leader of any type, if you want to take any individual, if you want to take your life or your business to the next level, I highly recommend this program. So for me personally, a lot has shifted. Before, I was not sleeping through the night. I was waking up every hour or 2. My sleep was terribly off. I was waking up later than normal because I wasn't sleeping well and I wasn't able to fall asleep. And then when I did fall asleep, I was waking up every 2 hours. So now I'm falling asleep and I wake up the same time every night, between 1 and 1:15 to go to the bathroom. And then I automatically wake up between 4 and 5 a.m. And I like to be a 5 a.m.er. I've always lived that way. Yet I was off track for a good year or 2. And now,
there's that 5 a.m. club. You could start
5
doing
a.m.
that.
So I'm up regardless. I was full of energy. I was not dragging myself out of bed, waking up energetically. And let me tell you, the creativity and the ideas have just been pouring through me. I'll be sitting there doing my real estate calls, and all of a sudden this download will happen, and I'll have to push everything aside and take my notebook out. And these are things that are going to take me to the next level of my business. And that's how it works.
It's a lot of commitment. I'm not naturally a morning person. I'm more creative as a night owl. And I don't know if that's because I was born at 11:59 at night and this book's written about this, or that's just when I'm more peaceful, more creative, and my creative juices are flowing there. But I've changed and reluctantly changed, but now it's become part of my habit to be a morning person. I try to get up, at least have some clarity to be able to put my thoughts together before the phones and the emails start to come. And it's challenging as an entrepreneur to be able to delegate and then to be able to steer the ship and have that clarity of thought, because you can't master everything. You did a really great job, and I wanted to make sure that we brought it up on this podcast today.
Well, I appreciate it, because naturally I'm a disciplined person. I have been through more hard probably than I want to discuss. You know, like I told my soldiers when we went to combat for a year, this is going to be the most challenging yet rewarding year of your life. And that proved to be true, at least for me anyway. And when I think about doing hard things, my mind doesn't have the thought to quit. And that's what I find with 75 Hard, is people say, I'm going to try that. At my age, I don't try things. I look at it, I determine if it's the right thing for me,
and then you execute.
And then I make a decision, and then quitting is not an option. So if I could give any piece of advice, if somebody, regardless of the physical act, if you can sit in a chair, you can exercise for 45 minutes. You can literally just do arm exercises.
I think just being able to get to do it and to commit to it gives you a sense of achievement.
Right.
And that is the building block to other things. It's really a mindset shift.
Everything is mindset. For example, there are people who complain, why would you take a selfie every day to show your progress? You're not going to see progress. But the whole point is the little details have an effect on the big picture.
Understood.
So if you do not, I had the app because it's $6 to download the app and you have your daily checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And in life,
accountability.
You get very complacent with the little details. And the little details over time are what add to your big picture and your big goals.
That can be said from everything from going
Everything.
to school and graduating through to learning a language or learning coding or getting into real estate on your first house. And it's the tenacity to keep on going. So these programs, even though they look like they're just in a health, they're really not. They're really building blocks.
It's very much mental.
Yes.
And if you leave an ounce of water in your water bottle, you start from day one. If you forget to take your selfie, you start from day one. So you better bet I was on my app several times a day, making sure I didn't miss anything. And
that's detail orientation. I love that.
well, my mind is like, hell no, I'm not doing 45 days all over again. People tell me, oh, I did that, but I stopped at day 42. What are you, crazy? Then you have to start over and do 42
But do
days
they really
again.
Start is the question.
They
See,
probably never start over.
But that's what sets people. I'd love to do some kind of survey to say what kind of industry are you in? Or are you an entrepreneur? Are you a W2 employee? See which the failure rate is, because I think entrepreneurs, we're built differently.
I honestly think that I study the brain a lot. I'm very intrigued with mindset, brain, motivation, discipline. It's all your mind. And this is not something you try, it's something you choose for yourself. A lot of people, number one, don't put themselves first. So they put themselves first, make a commitment, but the minute a family member or a child or somebody else wants their attention, they'll forget about themselves, put themselves last, and run to serve other people.
Okay, well that's a difficult one, because you want to be of service, but also you've got the mindset of you have to take care of yourself, your temple, because if you don't, then it's hard to take care of other people if you're not functioning correctly.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. So God wants us all to have all the blessings that He wants to give us. But if our body isn't able to hold that light, then those blessings can't come. So until I cleaned out the chemicals in my body, you know, I don't drink a whole lot, but even the alcohol that I was drinking, you know, I wasn't able to hear the message. Now I'm in pure God flow after that 75 days. It's like making me never want to even put alcohol in my body, because that's how clear my messages are coming through every day. And the brain naturally wants to keep you uncomfortable. So the minute something gets hard, you can say darkness, the devil, you know, your brain wants to keep you comfortable and complacent, and that's where people quit. But my brain doesn't work that way, because I'm like, heck no, you know, get me through this, and I get through it.
Well, health is the truest form of wealth. I've said it for many years. It's been one of my catchphrases, because if you are not healthy, you cannot be at your optimal level to achieve and take care of yourself and your family. So you know, really, number one, you have to take care of that. That's the most important thing for longevity, and then everything else will flow.
You know, I can't agree with that more. Just the amount of people that have said, I wish I had your drive, I wish I had your motivation, and I said, you do. You just have to want it, and you have to tap into it. I am no different than anybody else. I just made a choice. And also, I'm not super young. I want to live a comfortable life. If you're not active, and then you become in your 70s, then your whole body is atrophied.
Absolutely. I think we're blessed to have that mindset, and I hope that, you know, people listening out there realize that it can be done if you want it. Truly, that saying is, if you want it bad enough, you'll make a way to make it work. Whatever that means. Relationships, if that means getting a new health regime, getting your finances sorted out, you know, maybe going back to school, you didn't graduate, and there's things that, you know, you see people who are graduating when they're, you know, in their 90s, and they do it, and I just go, well, why would they do that? Sense of achievement, something that was missing in their journey that they felt like they really needed to cleanse. So yeah, entrepreneurship and health and everything else with real estate and finance, it's all gelling nicely in this little conversation, completely unscripted, off bat, whatever we felt like talking about today is what we're presenting. So what's the next topic? What should we get into? I'm really passionate about people believing that they can achieve something. No matter what it is, the keys to achieving something are sharing what you want to achieve with your loved ones. Oh, to keep you accountable?
To respect your time and your wishes. For example, you know, when you have a lot of obligations, you may have to get up earlier and do what you need to do. Yet sometimes your children or your husband or your family,
they have a good support system.
Right, they want your time, but if you tell them, look, from 6 to 7 a.m., this is my time, you have to give that to me.
Sure.
Then they will. Yet a lot of people don't communicate their needs, and they just react to everybody and everything around them. You have to hold yourself accountable. I put my stuff all over Facebook so that everybody would know I was doing it. You know, I'm not going to go on Facebook and say, oh, I quit today, or I failed today. Everybody was watching. I had hundreds of people
doing. Oh, got it.
That's the only reason. Because when I don't post, people want to know. They ask me, how's it going? How's it going? They think you quit if you don't post for a day. Hold yourself accountable, have a plan. I had a plan, and I just executed. So, all right, pause, break.
Yes.
Bloopers. Do we need to go pee? You know I do, drinking a gallon of water.
That's the hardest thing for me is the water. It really
Oh,
is.
well, I have a tip. You get a big old half-gallon bottle with a straw, and you just put it in your mouth. You don't give yourself a choice.
That way you could kill somebody with that joke.
Oh, I certainly could, but it actually, you have a straw. I mean, do I want to drink a gallon of water? Absolutely not. But after the first week you feel like kind of bloated, but now I feel like a gallon of water is normal. So I'm gonna keep drinking a gallon of water, assuming it's good for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of mixed things now out. No, drinking a lot of water is not good. Like, I have no idea. It changes every other
So what's going to happen we'll talk on the topic of Thanksgiving, getting together with family, and how is that going to impact everyone's real estate and transactions next week, as it's a short week.
All right. We'll be back.